I'm here today with this most amazing man who, for 22 years, was a police officer on the New York City Police Department force. He was a Democratic senator for the state of New York and is now the Brooklyn Borough president. So, thank you so much today, Eric Adams, for joining me.
Thank you so much for allowing me to have a conversation with you on a very important topic.
It is. Oh my gosh. So, in March of 2016, you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Tell us what your health was like at that time.
And that's a great question because when you really look at it, visually, I look fine. I was always active and I considered a person who tried to stay in good physical shape for my law enforcement years. But when I was away in Dubai, I was receiving pains in my stomach, and I really thought it was colon cancer because I lost a good friend, a young person, to colon cancer. When I returned to the country, I went for a colonoscopy and an endoscopy,
Mhm.
and the doctor indicated that I had an ulcer. And but he stated that your real problem, Eric, is your diabetes. Your diabetes is at a danger coma level,
Right?
and I was really shocked to hear that. And he started to read off my other diagnosis. My cholesterol was in the 200s. Blood pressure was at a dangerous level. Also, I was having tingling in my hands and feet. I thought it was just that from time to time they were falling asleep, but it turned out that that was related to the diabetes. And at that time, my sight began to really erode, particularly in my left eye. I lost my vision in my left eye, and I was starting to lose it in my right as well. So I was at a point that although I looked great, visually, I should have taken an internal selfie, as I like to say, and
You're
I would
right.
have detected that I was in some real problems, some real trouble.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, most people would have just said, okay, diabetes, doc, what do you got for me? But what prompted you to change and go down a different route? Because this is not what most people do.
Mom is diabetic, and prior to me going away in January of 2016, I saw her inject herself with insulin. And it's funny, you can see things often in life, but not until you really open your eyes do you really see it. And I just really wanted to do something for my mother. I felt that she was grimacing in pain. She was on high blood pressure medicine. She was on heart disease medicine. And I just, felt something for her. And so, things motivate us. And when I was told I too was diabetic, and my family members are all either diabetic or pre-diabetic, my sister just lost a kidney to diabetes. I thought that it was important for me to say, wait a minute, let's look into this. So it really started with a question that none of my doctors were able to answer. How does one get diabetes?
Right.
All the doctors were able to give me the symptoms and tell me, what happens when you get diabetes. But when I kept saying, well, how do you get it? I got everything from it's hereditary to you eat too much sugar to you eat too much carbon dioxide. And so I did something extremely scientific. I went to the computer and Googled. It was amazing, you know. And all of this information came up, and I just couldn't believe it. So
Right.
I said, you know, is this right? And one person jumped off at me, and that was a Dr. Esseltyn.
Hmm.
He's from Ohio. Uh, his book and the book from Dr. Greger, How
Right.
Not to Die.
That's
And
powerful.
yes, it is. I called the doctor in Ohio, and I told him who I was, and I would like to see him. He told me, if you fly down and see me, I'll be glad to see you. And so I took the trip down to Ohio one early morning, and we were able to have a conversation. And when I got to the airport, there was a Dr. Greger's book about how not to die. So I read it on the plane, and when I landed, I was just so blown away that I told my staff that I wanted them to see if this research is authentic or is it just some type of strange things that people are saying, because it was just so unimaginable
I
when you
know.
read the book. That started the journey. When I returned to New York, I was committed. I was dedicated. I think anything could motivate someone is losing their sight. And I wanted to give my body a chance, an opportunity. And so I dove in head first. After 3 weeks of going to a plant-based diet, my eyesight cleared up. The vision loss just totally reversed itself. I went to the ophthalmologist and she said, "I don't know what you did," you know,
And they
and
had no, and she had no clue, right?
no clue at all, no clue. And I went to 3 months later, my A1C went from the high teens down to a 5.7 to a pre-diabetes level, and my cholesterol went to a 57. My blood pressure normalized. The ulcer went away. The nerve damage in my hands and feet and my right thigh also, that all reversed completely. I don't feel that any longer. It was just a complete reversal and no medicine. I took Metformin and one only drug for about 14 days because my A1C was at such a high level that it was my doctors were really afraid. They said any day you can go in a coma, Eric. And so once that normalized,
How did
you
that
know,
make you feel when you went on the metformin?
it I thought it gave me heart palpitations, but I wasn't sure. I assume the question is how did I feel physically or emotionally? Emotionally,
Yeah.
I was really alarmed that the doctors told me I was going to be on medicine the rest of my life. Every
Right?
doctor that I saw, and I just refused to believe that. After just really taking control of my health, it was a real lesson for me that my team of consultants and advisors on my health, I am the person that makes the ultimate decision. I think that's what Americans must realize.
Hmm.
We should decide. They are our advisors, and we should double check, particularly in this internet age where you can check anything you want to see if you're getting good information and cross references. So I was not a doctor, but I knew how to read and I knew how to do research. And I said, I'm going to use reading and do research to save my life. The same way I would do that reading and research before I buy a car or buy a house
Hmm.
or buy some other item or computer. We need to spend that time and doing the research on our bodies as well.
Absolutely. You can't hide now on the internet.
So true.
Can't hide. So tell us about your mom and her journey now.
So mom watched me, mothers, they know how to keep an eye on what you're doing. And she came to me one day and she said, son, I've been watching you. I've been reading all of these items. People are talking about you in my church. I want to try to deal with these chronic diseases I have. And mother was taking 6 or 7 different pills. It is so disheartening when you realize we're giving our loved ones pills to keep their pressure up, and another pill to bring it down, another pill that when your sugar goes up, take this. It's just so sad when you really
Hmm.
start to think about it. And
Right.
so mom said, I want to try. And I told her, I said, mother, you have a southern diet. You're used to that southern diet. This is not something you can just stick your toe in. You have to get all the way in the water and you have to be real about it. And she says, no, I would like to try. And so we sat down and I showed her what to do. And
Now,
I part
How long was she diabetic?
mother was diabetic for 15 years. She was on insulin for 7 years. She was taking high blood pressure medicine for 57 years. As long as I can remember, mom was taking high
Wow.
blood pressure medicine. And so she tried. And I had a partner with a great doctor, Dr. Dunay, up here in Brooklyn, New York.
He's amazing.
Right, right. I did not have to go all the way to Ohio this time. And so 2 months into her journey, she called me elated that the doctor had told her she no longer had to take insulin, that her sugar
Wow.
had normalized, and they cut
After
her
15 years.
15 years, and she is 80 years old.
So that's
You know,
hope. That's
it, it
hope for
really
people
it
out there.
really is right. They cut her blood pressure medicine in half. They're weaning her off her hard medicine. So she's really doing the things that she always wanted to do, and how she always wanted to feel. And it's a tough journey. It's not an easy journey. As I shared with her and explained to her that the same feelings you have when you go through cravings, when one is alcoholic or one is on drugs. That's what food is. You know, we
Food
are
addiction.
right. We are addicted to food, to sugar,
Absolutely.
salt, and if we don't treat it like an addiction and just feel, well, why don't you just stop eating what you're eating? Then we're not going to respect the addictive aspects of this problem. You know, America must go through some form of NA or AA. We have to be weaned off of this drug called food.
Have you read the book by Michael Moss? It's called Fat, Sugar, Salt.
No, it's called fat, sugar, salt.
Fat, Sugar, Salt. And it's an
Hmm.
expose. Michael Moss is a Pulitzer Prize journalist. And what he did is an expose on the food industry. And he
Hmm.
talks about how, and I like this term, my husband came up with this term. He calls it turbocharging the food.
Mm, mm,
And
hmm.
how America, the processed food industry, has been turbocharging it and increasing the amount of fat, sugar, and salt in our food so that it makes it hyper palatable to us that we just go, oh, I've got to have that again. That was
Right,
awesome. So it's
right,
called the
right.
bliss point in our brain that you
Mm-hmm.
just go, I've got to have that.
Mm, mm.
And that's what we're doing is everything now is reaching those levels, and it's getting to the point now where they have to keep raising the amount to trigger it because our brain
Right,
becomes used to that level, and so now it goes up and wants more and it has to take
right.
it to the next level. So fascinating book.
And
So
I'm going to read it. And in this journey, there's so much more than deal with my diabetes.
right.
At 57, it here it was. I was closely related to this body, and I knew nothing about it, both physically and spiritually and emotionally. And because of the blessings of diabetes, it forced me to, dig deeper into, what is my purpose and who am I as a person and what is the journey and the connectivity between you and I. No matter how far away you are from us having this conversation, we are both soulfully connected.
Right.
And the appreciation of that universal connectivity just has really taken me on another journey that I could never be thankful for.
It changes your life. It really does.
It
In
does.
so many levels. Oh my gosh.
It really does. And sometimes it takes those dark moments for us to realize that we're not buried, but we're planted.
Right.
And when we come out of that planting, that same force of energy that allows a seed to pierce through the soil and produce a harvest is who we become. It's a tough journey, but once you make your way through that journey, you're another person on the other side.
It's true. It's true. So what hurdles did you personally face and how did you overcome them in this whole process?
And that's such a great question about the hurdles. If ever you want to alienate your friends, tell them you're not eating meat.
Right? Right?
The conversation is it's the number of people. Like I don't sit down at a table and say, no, let's just take one piece of this kale, or here, just take some asparagus, please, just a little. Look, please, please. People who hear you don't eat meat, they just want to just taunt you as much as possible and
Right?
wave the steak in your face and say, "Look what you're missing, yum yum."
Right?
And so
Right?
I don't know if it's just guilt or that somehow we stigmatize the thought that it is un-American to not be a meat eater and not to consume meat. And so that was a challenge to finally get my friends and associates because as an elected official, I eat out all the time.
Hmm.
And I had to learn methods of how to eat appropriately so when I go somewhere that I can feel, fulfilled full.
What do you do when you have to go and eat out?
Excellent. That's an excellent question. I have learned to build my life around fueling my body. I don't build my body. I don't build my activities around my food. I build my food around the activity. So, for example, if I'm going to have a dinner somewhere,
Uh-huh.
before I go to the dinner, I will eat a nice healthy meal that I prepared or had ready for preparation. I will cook it, eat it. I schedule my day in the beginning of the day. I look at my calendar and I know at what time during the day I'm going to eat, and I will cook my meal So before the dinner, I will, have a good meal, and then when I'm at the dinner or the event, I would just get a salad or something that I know that the chefs can't mess up, because they're so busy trying to satisfy your taste buds that they're not concerned about your nutrition.
Right.
And so I would
I call that the Gone with the Wind effect.
tell
Because
me.
Mammy wouldn't let Scarlett go to any parties unless she was full up to here. And that's exactly, I do the same strategy. I make sure before I go, especially with my family, I call them the carnivores because they haven't made the change yet. So
um,
I make sure that I go so that when I go there, because I know I'm going to be faced with foods that
right,
are my Achilles heel, like Cape Cod
right,
potato chips. Wow. Uh,
mhm,
that's my Achilles heel. So don't
right,
get between me and the potato chips, you'll get hurt. Okay? So I
I
just make
love
sure
that.
that I'm full and
Right,
that I bring stuff that I can eat too so I don't feel
understood.
deprived.
And
So
that's
excellent.
what I do. And what I do also that is another hurdle that I have come in contact with is traveling abroad. I travel abroad a lot,
Oh, that's
and
tough.
right. But I've learned again. I have this small travel pot, and I bring with me some bare necessities, dry beans, some great noodles that are made out of lentils, or pasta that's made out of lentils or made out of bean pasta, black bean pasta. So I bring that with me. I have a suitcase that's really just packed with all of those foods I can cook right in my hotel room.
So
And
you take your instant pot with
yes,
you and you've
and
got a carry case just for your instant pot in your kitchen.
exactly, and I
Love
load
it.
up with all my spices. I would pack, sometime I would pack a grinder if I want to grind something up. So I come prepared with oatmeal and other items that I know I can eat when I get there. Couscous sometimes that will only take hot water and I can mix it up. So the first thing I do when I land abroad is to find out where's the supermarket so I can go and buy some of the things that will spoil on the flight. And this way I'm ready to add them in whatever dish I need to do so.
That is awesome because I know how difficult it is to eat out. And especially when you go overseas, it's
Yes,
really tough. And if you don't speak the language, that's even worse. You
yes,
know,
yes.
it makes it tough. So kudos to you for preparing.
Right, because the more prepared you are, the easy it is. The first time I went away was a challenge, but because I was not prepared.
Right.
And then I say, okay, I'm going to create a list, and this way I will be ready so that I can enjoy my food. And one of the biggest misnomers, there used to be an Oldsmobile commercial that used to show a new Oldsmobile, and they said, "This is not your dad's Oldsmobile. This is not our mom and dad plant-based diet.
Hmm.
The food out there is amazing. People
Right.
often ask, aren't you hungry? Don't you feel yearning? And I tell them, go Google online and see the food that's out there.
Right.
The food is so good, and so many people have been involved with it that the creativity has
Hmm.
come and how to ensure we get the satisfaction from what we eat. Because food must be healthy for you, it must look good to you, but most importantly, it must taste good. A
Absolutely.
diet that doesn't taste good is not a diet or way of life that people are going to stay on.
Right.
And
No,
my food tastes great.
I know, right? Because I'm such a foodie, and I mean, and I cook, and I make sure that my food is awesome.
Yes,
So
yes,
absolutely. So yeah, once you start to realize that you can pretty much make most things, you're not giving up anything. It's
you're
just
not,
it's
you're really not.
finding substitutions. Were there any other hurdles that you had to overcome in this process?
Well, one thing that made it easy, which is extremely amazing, is that my significant other and I both took the journey at the same time.
Yeah,
We both realized that this was important to do, and we both decided that we were going to take this journey together, and that makes it easy.
yes,
It becomes challenging when the person, those people who are dear to you, are not embracing the same way of life.
it is tough.
Right, but so it became easy when we did it together. When you look at some of the hurdles, is finding those stores all over. you know, that sell good, healthy products.
Right.
It was amazing to see when you start reading the labels
Oh,
of how everything, just even when it says healthy, it is so unhealthy. You
right.
know, when you start to really dig into, okay, let's see what you have here, and you start breaking down those ingredients, you realize how unhealthy they are, and those were probably some of the hurdles that I encountered.
Well, I'm a chemistry teacher, and so I start looking at the list of chemicals that are in these products that it's mind-boggling to me. And
Mm-hmm.
we have a program where we teach about to people, we call it the trifecta, because you have to change what goes in, so that's the food and drink. You have to change
Mm-hmm.
what goes on, those are the personal care products and the environment toxins that you're being exposed to. And you also have to exercise. So that's what we
Mm.
call our trifecta that you
I
have to
like that. I
change.
like that. That's
So,
something good to do.
yeah. So on a given day, walk us through what you would eat.
Very exciting. Uh, and what I do, people sometimes, I have my favorites. Like I love oatmeal,
Mm-hmm.
and people often state that diabetics should not eat oatmeal. Wrong. Fruit.
Right?
Wrong.
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat fruit.
Right, right,
Really?
right. It's amazing how bad this advice is. But so every morning I will have a large bowl of fruits and a green smoothie. Not I
Mm-hmm.
don't juice. I do smoothies, and I mean I have a large several large handfuls of kale with blackberries and blueberries, and I will cut up heck of bananas, apples, peaches, pears, mangoes. Just an assortment of different fruits, and eat with the smoothie because it's breaking my fast and it's getting my body used to the fact I'm waking up and I'm not putting it into shock. I'm giving it something that's really full and really holds me to probably midday.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating is, people would say all the time that, Eric, you eat the same thing every day. And I said, yeah, but you eat 2 eggs on a roll and bacon every morning. you know,
What's
you
the
know,
difference?
exactly. A lot of people often feel as though they have this great diversity in their meal, and they don't. When
Right.
I told one of my staffers, I said, write down what you eat for the week, and they see that basically they're eating the same thing every day.
You get your go-tos,
Right, right,
your go-to
right.
recipes, and you just continue to eat them.
That's right. And so lunchtime, I have this amazing, I call it a soup mix that I make. That's made out of lentils, kale. I eat kale every meal. I try to get kale because kale is
Yes.
one of the most nutritious greens that you can have. Kale, onions, mushrooms. I just put everything in it and make and with a lot of spices. I love great spices. I love Indian spices, and I mix it all together. I take the lentils and put them in my NutriBullet and bring them into sort of a thick mixture.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mix everything in together, and it's just so satisfying. It's high fiber, really full in, and it just holds me for hours. And I just dump it all into. I got a large bowl I call a Buddha bowl, and I
Right.
throw everything inside there, mix it up with my spices, squeeze on some lemon and some apple cider vinegar to give it the salty taste that I'm looking forward to. Use some good curry, some good almond powder, which we don't even embrace, one of the highest antioxidants you can get, but we don't even use it, have it in our stores for the most part. A lot of water, and that is like sort of my lunch.
I got a spice for you. This is my new favorite spice. It's called Bear Bear. B
Bear, bear,
B
spell
E
that for
R B E R E. It is a Mediterranean spice that is awesome. So, like when I'm cooking my beans,
me.
I
Uh
cook
huh.
my beans in the Instant Pot, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll take some of the liquid that's left.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have about this much water over my beans after I've soaked them all night. And then I'll
Mm-hmm.
take a scoopful of the beans and the liquid, and I'll put in some Bear Bear. I'll put some cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, mix it up. Oh, it's not your mom's beans. Just saying. Just
I'm
saying.
going to try that. You just
Oh my
hooked me.
gosh.
And so lunch. I mean, a light dinner or lunch, late lunch, cook some veggie noodles, some veggie pasta, either black beans or lentil pasta, and I would take a cauliflower, a carrot, and sweet potatoes, and mix them in my NutriBullet to make a nice little sauce.
Uh-huh.
I would boil okra and make the sauce with the okra, and then I mix it with the pasta with some nutritional yeast
Ah,
and a nice
yum.
handful of kale. So it's a real good taste.
Oh, I love okra. Love, love, love
I
okra.
do too.
Yeah.
It's amazing what okra can do to a meal.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
I love it.
yes,
Okay. Do you feel deprived eating this way?
not at all. And it's amazing if you really think about it. I recall when I would complete a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and I would wake up, being a poster child for the Alka Seltzer commercial saying, I know I can't believe I ate that whole thing, just eating that bad food, there's a guilt that settles over you.
Right.
But now, after the completion of a meal, I know that that meal is going to do what it's supposed to do to give my body the fuel. That's so exciting to me when I'm chopping up some carrots and know the beta
Right.
carrots and what it's going to do. I'm chopping up mushrooms and the benefits of the mushrooms and the kale. So not only am I enjoying what I am eating, but I'm emotionally charged because what I am eating is giving my body the nutrition that it needs to do what it needs
Well,
to
that's
do.
what I do when I have lectures. I lecture all over, and one of the things, like comparisons that I use, is when I win lotto, I am going to buy a 1969 metallic blue convertible Corvette. That's my
Why's that?
car. That's
Okay.
just my car. That's what I'm gonna. It's gonna have Starch Queens for the license plate. Okay. All right. So that's
Love
my car. My brother will argue with me. Why do you want a 69? Why not a 57? That's a better car.
it.
Whatever. That's my car.
Right.
Kerosene, great fuel. But if you put kerosene in that car, you're going to kill that car.
Interesting.
And
So,
that's what we're doing when we're consuming animal products or processed foods or oils or sugars. We're consuming the wrong fuel. So,
so true. Now, what's really interesting that my son said to me when I told him I was diabetic, and it's funny you use the fuel analogy of the car. He said, Dad, I saw you go from gas station to gas station to get the best gas for your BMW. You didn't get the best food for your body. And that's what we do.
that's
People
right.
people will fight you if you put the wrong oil in their engine or the wrong
Right?
gas in their car or the wrong transmission fluid. Yet we won't think twice for doing something that will corrode our arteries. We treat our fuel injectors better than we treat our arteries to our heart.
I know. I know. We haven't had any oil changes on this, this machine here. So we've got
Right,
to take care. We've got to put clean fuel
right,
in. So
right.
what
Unbelievable.
what do you wish everyone knew about this lifestyle?
Well, it's a journey. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I spoke at a funeral
Hmm.
where a very prominent bishop died, and there must have been about 2,000 people there, and another couple of thousand watched him on Facebook Live. And I remember sitting on this stage and wrestling with what I should say because he died from diabetes. He lost his legs. He was on dialysis. He was, it could be such a painful death for not only the individual, but family members who are around him. And when I got to the microphone, one of my pastors here, he was looking on Facebook Live, and he said, "I hope Eric doesn't talk about health." But something inside me just said, we have to face this.
We
We
do.
cannot continue to pretend that it was God's will that he lost his life. It was our unwillingness to do the things that God has given us. And I don't mean it in a religious sense, but I just mean it in the sense of the Creator gave us all
Right.
that we had to eat. And so I talked about it. And by the time I finished, we were receiving so many calls and emails and messages from people all over across the country who stated they wanted to reach us. And I've been telling my staff this because when I talk about different topics, but nothing I see in the eyes of people more than when I talk about health. People want to heal. They're
Right.
tired. They're tired of being sick. They're tired of worrying about that next diagnosis. They're tired about, do they put their family member in a home? People want to heal.
I know.
And that is what my goal is, and I hope to accomplish. I hope people, ordinary people, that were here, what my mother was able to accomplish, what I was able to accomplish, and start the process of no longer believing that we get these chronic diseases because we are older. We get these
Mm.
chronic diseases because we are killing ourselves. And it's
It's the
not
wrong fuel.
right, the wrong view. And it's not, as I say over and over again, the doctors told me it was my mother's DNA is in my family. And it's not our DNA, it's our dinner. It's not our lineage, it's our lunch. It's not where we're born, it's our breakfast. And
Right.
once we understand that, we will break free from the belief that the inevitability of eating.
Right. And I love Neil Barnard's his comment about how you can turn on or off. Most of our genes, we inherit. Some genes like tell us that are expressed, whether you're tall or thin or whatever, blonde hair, blue eyed, whatever. And those things are on. But the rest of our genes are like committees. And
That's,
whether those committees get turned on or not depends
that's
upon the
right.
fuel. So totally. So I've got one final question for us. Can you share with us what wonderful things you're doing in Brooklyn to help promote a plant-based lifestyle?
This is an amazing time. You know, there was a very famous comment by Dr. King who was talking about segregation. He said, segregation is dead. The question is how expensive are they going to make the funeral?
Hmm.
And that's what we are with the overproliferation of bad food in our schools, in our communities. Those days are behind us. The question is how expensive those who want to hold on to it is going to make the funeral of it. We are moving towards getting processed meat out of our schools here. Right, that's our goal. Our goal is to get processed meat out of our schools. We
Wow.
were able to have a city council resolution introduced, and now we're looking to hold hearings and bring in the experts to show what processed meat is doing to our children.
Yes.
And far too many people believe and say, well, I grew up on processed meat. And yes, you're having the health problems that's come with it. It doesn't mean that little Johnny eats a Frank on Monday, he's going to have prostate or cancer on Tuesday. No, we are instilling long term habits of consuming products that will have long term effects. The second thing we're doing is extremely exciting. We have finally got the Health and Hospital Corporation, which is our major hospital, public hospital system. They're going to do a pilot project with a a plant-based, nutrition-based unit within the hospital. So someone comes in and state that they're diabetic or they have heart disease, they will have the opportunity to get a plant-based dietitian, a plant-based doctor, a plant-based help, and how to cook food and do other things so that they can live a plant-based, nutrition-based lifestyle.
Awesome.
It is a phenomenal victory. It was a long battle. I really have to thank the mayor who said that, Eric, I don't understand it, but I know that you have been consistent on it, so there's no reason we cannot try it. And it's very exciting. And the other item, the third item, is what we're doing with a mental health facility.
Mhm.
There's a group of patients that are totally under the care of the facility, that they feed them 3 times a day. They give them their nutrition through tube feeding.
Yeah.
We are attempting to be in partnership with them. So instead of feeding them food that is steak and other items that are really bad for them, to give them a plant based. And this way, we will be able to monitor and see the results of going on a plant based diet and
Nice.
how it impacts and improves the physical health of those who have even mental issues. And so we're continuing to partner with those initiatives and initiatives of showing our children in school how to grow plants. We have put in millions of dollars in our school system for building hydroponics, aquaponics,
Nice.
showing green gardens, greenhouses. We're going into some of the considered food deserts and putting money into build greenhouses of a large scale so people can learn how to not only grow but to sell products so they can see the economic benefits of and the job opportunities of urban farming. It is often ignored, and far too many communities, impoverished areas of the city, don't believe that they can do something like urban farming, and we want to show them that they can and
Yes.
allow them to see the economic benefits from it as we try to
Oh,
improve the employment aspect. And so we are extremely excited. We have a great team here who are really looking to do some things around changing the conversation on healthy eating. Every 3 months, the first Monday of every 3 months, we hold a plant-based vegan meetup. A couple of hundred people come out. We have great speakers come in and give people just basic information how to make the transition and allow people to cross pollinate ideas on what they do, what foods they eat, and just the sharing of information. And so we are excited. We're extremely excited. We're in the right direction. And I'm happy to be the borough president. Brooklyn is the third largest city in America if it was an independent city with 2.6 million people. So it's a great way of setting the tone for New York City. And New York
right.
City, as being a major city, will set the tone for America. And America, being a major country, will set the tone for the globe. We're going to save lives starting in a place called Brooklyn, New York, and it's going to
Wow.
cascade out.
Wow. Awesome. Oh my gosh. I've been to several of your Monday nights, so and they're amazing. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Wow. All the things that you're doing, just incredible.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for taking the time today to meet with me. And in spite of all the glitches, we got it through. We made it. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. And I'll see you at the next Brooklyn event.
Yes, thank you. Take care. Great
All
speaking
right.
with you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.